the credit card play, like creative financing. So you're using creative financing, but when you get into these different fields, right? And you say that, you learn that the real estate game isn't for you at a certain level. You still will do a cosmetic thing, but you don't want to do any like deep construction, which I understand. Because I remember getting in a commercial and like being lost, and I'll never do it again. But the great thing about real estate is, right, is you can be involved in real estate from so many different ways, right? Whether you want to invest in, building up a REIT portfolio, whether you want to, fix and flip, wholesale, whatever it may be. But like I said, again, another key, the way to find out is by getting out there and doing things. So I have another investor that I was speaking to, and this gentleman owned over 100 some odd properties, and realized he hated the landlord game, right? He would start selling off his properties, and went back into wholesaling, even though wholesaling is how he started in order to build up his portfolio. But once he built up his portfolio, what he realized is he liked wholesaling,
Yes.
But so to each his own, like wholesaling is a tough business, but he realized, and he told me, he says, listen, if I'm cash flowing 500 on a door per month, that's considered like a good cash flowing property in Philadelphia, in our market, based upon what the property's worth or whatever. He said, so he started doing the math. He said, so that's about $6,000 a year. He said, I'm making on average $12,000 on each wholesale deal. So I'm getting 2 years of income right up front.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So he broke it down that way. And I was like, okay, yeah, to each his own, but it's something about the passive income that I like. But my point in saying all that was you have to get out there and try things to figure out what your niche is. So
you got to know yourself.
Yeah, you got to know yourself. So you also do the trading and the dividends. So what would you say is your favorite thing out of that trifecta, which is how you're building your wealth? Out of that trifecta, what's your thing? What is your thing that you like the most?
I really like the markets most, and the markets still gives me access to properties, as you said. Like I do own some REITs, things of that nature. And just to put the disclaimer out there, I'm not a licensed broker, so anybody listening, do not go out and take any trades or buy any stocks off of my advice. Do your own research. But I love seeing them dividend checks, Jim. And at a young age, I understood the value, and I learned the value of that compound interest. I understood the value of companies raising their dividends and growing their dividends, and to build that dividend portfolio, not only you need the capital, but you need the time. A lot of times you need time on your side. So I would tell anybody, start as early as you can. Mm-hmm. And buy if you want to be a dividend investor. Far as the option field, I love options. I love everything about options. I do all types of options trades. I'm not really a day trader. I wouldn't call myself a day trader. I would fit more into like a swing trader category. Most of my trades are 20, 30 days out. Some of my trades are even longer, 60 days out, 70 days out. And I roll a lot of my positions over and over again. And I do sell options against my stock that I own also.
Which is called?
Cover calls.
Cover calls.
There you go.
Basically, you just printing money.
Yeah, I'll do some cover calls to bring in a percentage, to up my percentages and my returns on top of my dividend. So I know if a company is paying me a 6% yield, I know I can match that 6% yield by doing cover calls throughout the whole year on that company.
Yeah, I gotta get and I'm actually studying with brother Jay Johnson right now, who was on a previous episode. So I got with him and I'm studying. So I've ran options in the past, but it was basically like Corey, like, yo, run this, and I did it just to make some bread. Yeah. But I decided to take a little step further, so studying with brother Jay Johnson, and it was one of the things I know Corey was telling me about that before. So I have like certain positions where I own, a couple hundred shares in like different positions, right? But I guess one of the things I did is I have multiple brokerage accounts. So the companies that I hold like my long-term stuff in is not the same TD account. And again, that's not advice either, that I was like, trying to run the options out of. I was like, maybe I need to move some stuff over here so I could start the cover call game, because that's next level. Like,
listen, you are printing money. If you running cover calls, you basically printing money. Yes. Because you can't lose.
But and for the novice out there, right? So I'm learning a lot studying with Jay and just from talking to people. One of the things you just said something interesting, because talking to people that have been doing this for years, and I've met some successful like options traders. And one of the things I find interesting is a lot of options traders that are successful don't trade a lot of, and I was telling Cordy the other day, they don't trade a lot of companies or a lot of sectors. Like, yo, I've met people like who will only trade FANG. Like that's all they do.
Yeah.
Or they're only like only trade Microsoft, or they'll only trade the energy sector. So I found that to be interesting because, you know, coming in, I'm like, well, if you trade and you're looking at everything, but it doesn't even work that way.
Nah, you what you want to do is find patterns, and you want to identify companies and find patterns. And so if you can identify companies and find patterns, you can always make money. So options traders tend to stick to what they know.
Yes. So if you know a company and you know how a company move, and you know their price actions throughout the day, the week, things of that nature, you could pretty much trade options with that knowledge. But I will tell everybody, you know, that options may not be for everybody either. I have blown up accounts before trading wildly. Like I said, I still pump my 9 to 5. So a lot of my trades are defined risk trades, meaning I'm not just going out selling calls or buying puts or buying calls, anything like that. I do a lot of spreads. I do a lot of pretty much spreads are my bread and butter.
Tell people what spreads are.
All right, spreads. One of my favorite spreads is called the in and out spread. So you got just ABCD stock, and let's say the stock price is at 100, Jim. I do an in and out spread. If I believe the stock is going to go up, I'll buy the 101 call and buy the 99 call. That right there gives me a 58% probability, depending on which way I believe the stock is going to go. But far as I always look at my risk first. So my risk doing that type of spread, I'm risking $1 to make $1. So I'm not over risking my finances. So it's not like I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and be $5,000 in debt or anything like that. I'm basically risking $100 to make $100. But to even more to sway the probability in my favor, I don't look to make the whole $100. I only look to make 55% of that trade, then I get out. So I'm making 55% on that $100. So that helps basically put the odds in my favor with that type of spread. I've been in scenarios where as though my broker is calling me the next morning, letting me know I owe them bread. Basically, I owe them $5,000 because one of my positions wound up getting downgraded or whatever, and pretty much I worked it out with the broker, got out of that position. But that in itself taught me that I was over allocating my funds. So when I'm over allocating funds, you should never over allocate your funds when you're trading options. You know, you should always think risk first, reward second. So always think about your risk first, think about your reward second.
Yep.
As far as my sectors,
couldn't imagine getting that phone call, cause that phone call is crazy.
Yeah. It was a crazy phone call, but they work with you though. They know what it is, and they know. So they do work with you. Most good brokers work with you. I've been with quite a few brokers, and pretty much a lot of my stuff, I believe liquidity is king when I'm trading my options. Like it has to be a liquid product. It has to be penny increments as far as the bid and ask, and you know, nothing crazy.